Something unseen shapes our lives every day. It moves quietly, almost imperceptibly. What if the world isn't quite as it seems? By the way, this channel posts one insight like this every day, so if this breakdown helps you, consider subscribing. Every time you scroll through your social media feed or search for something online, invisible forces are quietly shaping what you see, and even how you think. These forces are algorithms, complex sets of rules designed by engineers to tailor your experience. At first glance, they seem helpful, showing you content you're interested in. But beneath the surface, they're more than just helpful tools. They're architects of attention, curators of curiosity, and sometimes unwitting influencers of belief. Consider YouTube's recommendation system. It doesn't just suggest random videos. It predicts what you're most likely to watch next, often nudging you toward content that reinforces your existing views or emotions. That funny cat video? It might lead you down a rabbit hole of ever more engaging clips, keeping you hooked longer than you expect. But this isn't just about entertainment. These algorithms impact how we see the world, from the news we consume to the ads that follow us around. For instance, during election seasons, the content you're shown can subtly shape your opinions, creating echo chambers where only certain perspectives thrive. This can deepen divides or reinforce biases without us even realizing it. And it's not just social media. Search engines, streaming services, even online shopping sites all rely on algorithms to guess what you want next. These guesses are based on vast amounts of data: what you clicked on yesterday, how long you watched a particular video, or even the time you spend lingering on a post. But here's where it gets more complex. These systems are optimized for engagement, meaning they prioritize the content that keeps you hooked. Sometimes what hooks us isn't the most accurate or balanced perspective. It's the most sensational, emotional, or extreme. This can distort our sense of reality, making the world seem darker, more divided, or more thrilling than it really is. Yet these algorithms don't have intent in the human sense. They don't decide to mislead or manipulate. They simply follow the parameters set by their creators and the data they receive. The responsibility falls on us, as users, to understand these invisible mechanics and question what we're being shown. But how can we do that when the rules are hidden, the code is proprietary, and the inputs are so vast? It's a challenge facing society right now. How to balance innovation and personalization with transparency and truth. In the next segment, we'll explore real-life examples of how algorithm-driven content has influenced major events and public opinion, sometimes with surprising consequences. From viral misinformation to grassroots movements, these stories show both the power and the pitfalls of living in a world shaped by unseen digital hands. As we peel back the layers, what becomes clear is that these algorithms are mirrors, reflecting not just our preferences, but also our fears, hopes, and the collective pulse of society. They amplify the loudest voices, magnify the trends, and sometimes drown out the subtler, quieter truths. It's a reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, is still a reflection of human nature, with all its complexity and contradictions. This interplay between human behavior and algorithmic design creates a feedback loop. What we seek influences what we see, and what we see shapes what we seek next. It's a dance where control is shared, sometimes uneasily, between people and machines. Recognizing this can feel disorienting, like standing at the edge of a vast ocean of data, unsure which waves to trust. And yet there is something hopeful in this realization. Awareness is the first step toward agency. By becoming mindful of how our digital environments are crafted, we gain the power to step back, to pause, and to question. It opens the door to choices about what we consume, what we believe, and how we connect with one another. Ultimately, the story of algorithms isn't just about code or commerce. It's about us and the kind of world we want to live in. As these invisible forces continue to evolve, so too must our understanding and our conversations around them. So as you go about your day, remember, behind every click and every recommendation is a silent design, an unseen hand weaving together the fabric of our digital lives. And within that fabric lies an invitation to see, to reflect, and maybe, just maybe, to choose a path that leads us closer to truth. Because in the end, the power of technology is not in the machines themselves, but in how we engage with them. The algorithms may guide us, but they don't define us. Each of us holds the capacity to seek out voices beyond our comfort zones, to question what feels familiar, and to embrace the complexity of perspectives that make up our shared world. This is not a call for fear or withdrawal, but for thoughtful participation, a gentle reminder that beneath the layers of data and code, there remains a deeply human story, a story of curiosity, connection, and care. In acknowledging the unseen currents shaping our days, we open a space for reflection, for dialogue, and for mindful choice. So maybe as you close your device tonight, you can carry with you a moment of quiet awareness, a small pause to recognize that behind every screen, a network of invisible hands is at work, and that within you lies the power to navigate its currents with intention and grace. And perhaps that is the truest kind of freedom we can find in this complex digital era. Not the freedom from algorithms, but the freedom to engage with them thoughtfully, to shape how they shape us. Just a thought to hold on to as we move forward together. In the end, it's this delicate balance between the unseen forces of technology and the visible choices of our own hearts and minds that will define our digital age. The question isn't whether algorithms influence us. They do, but how we respond to that influence, how we remain vigilant, curious, and compassionate within a world that's constantly changing beneath our fingertips. Because beyond the ones and zeros, beyond the data points and the predictive models, lies something profoundly human, the desire to understand, to connect, and to find meaning. And as long as we keep that desire alive, we keep the possibility open, not just to be shaped by the world, but to help shape it in return. So tonight, as the digital silence settles and the screens dim, there's space for reflection, for noticing the unseen hand, not as something to fear, but as an invitation to be more present, more aware, and more intentional in the stories we tell ourselves and each other. The currents will always be there, flowing beneath the surface, but within that movement, there's room for stillness, for choice, and for hope. And sometimes that quiet space is all we need to find our way through the noise. And maybe that's where the real power lies, in the moments between distractions, in the spaces where we step back and listen to what's not being shouted. It's easy to feel swept away by the constant tide of information, but it's in those pauses, those breaths, that clarity can emerge. Technology, for all its complexity, is ultimately a reflection of our collective story, a story still being written. Each of us plays a role, not only as consumers but as creators of the digital world, shaping its course with every choice we make. It's a reminder that behind every algorithmic nudge, there's a human heart beating, a mind questioning, and a voice capable of change. So as we navigate this interconnected web of signals and shadows, let us carry with us a gentle curiosity. Let us be patient with the imperfections of these systems, mindful of their influence, and committed to the deeper truths that unite us beyond the bytes and bandwidth. Because in embracing this complexity, with its challenges and promises, we step into a richer, more thoughtful way of living, one where technology serves us, not the other way around, and where the unseen threads weaving through our lives become strands of understanding rather than strands of division. And in that quiet hope, the story continues, ever unfolding, always inviting us to look a little closer, listen a little deeper, and move forward a little wiser. As we settle into this understanding, it's worth remembering that no algorithm is perfect, no system flawless. They evolve just as we do, learning from patterns, adapting to new data, growing through trial and error. And in that evolution, there's room for improvement, for reflection, and for intentional redesign that puts human well-being at the center. We stand at a crossroads where the choices we make about transparency, about ethics, about inclusion will ripple far beyond the screens we scroll. It's a moment to ask not only what technology can do, but what it should do. To imagine a digital landscape where the invisible hands guiding us are aligned with values of empathy, respect, and shared understanding. So perhaps the most important invitation here is this: to become not just passive recipients, but active participants in shaping our digital lives. To bring our full humanity, our curiosity, our critical thinking, our kindness into the algorithm's domain. Because it's in this human touch, this mindful engagement, that the true potential of technology is realized. And when the day winds down and the buzz of notifications fades into silence, maybe the most profound connection we can make isn't to a device, but to ourselves and to the world beyond the screen. a world filled with nuance, with stories yet untold, and with the unfolding possibility of something better. In that quiet space between signal and silence, there lies a gentle reminder that the unseen forces shaping our lives are not masters we must bow to, but tools we can learn to understand and ultimately to guide. And with that, we find not only clarity, but a quiet kind of freedom, one born from awareness, choice, and the simple, enduring human desire to belong and to know. Thank you for sharing this moment of reflection.